and cause a tree to shake, and its spirit drops onto the ground. The groundwater takes it down through the earth, gets all them minerals, and becomes this potent life force where it waits at an earth mother's womb place for a certain mother to come past, and the spirit jumps in, and that life cycle of the dreaming continues. Any questions or comments about the dreaming? Any of that? Death, the afterlife, or... Oh, I haven't talked about the raising of children. I'll just quickly do that. So children, the babies, were considered sacred, and they were allowed to be free spirits as much as possible because they've just come from the spirit world. So for them to have a proper adjustment to being in a physical body, they're let to be free spirits. So they could be funny, silly, creative, imaginative. They live life on their terms. They want to sleep with the mother. They want to be able to suckle from the mother's breast during the night, and so we let them do that. This is really important. The first 3 years of the child's life has the most bearing on the outcome for that person for their whole lives. First 3 years. So we sacrifice a little bit of our time for them because it's worth it. You know, it's 3 years of sacrifice compared to, if you don't do that, you've got to have, you know, maybe 97 years with this child that has problems, behavioural problems, psychological problems, all the way through their lives, just because we haven't been good parents to them in their first 3 years. Wasn't their fault. It's just bad practice of raising the child. So they sleep with the mother, next to her, touching her skin. They decide when they're ready to sleep away from the mother. It's their choice, it's never the mother's. They decide when they're ready to wean from the mother's breast. It's their choice, it's never the mother's. If these two things haven't happened by the age of 5.5, it'll be the father's job to move them on, because that sacred bond between the mother and child never gets broken by the mother. It's always by the child or by the father stepping in. That way the child never feels abandoned by the mother, always feels loved, and consequently is good to go, psychologically speaking, for the rest of their lives. They've got the right stuff, all because of we took the time and the effort, and we had the knowledge of best possible practice for being human, being a life form, respecting and caring for all of life, not just humans, not just self, not just family, but all of life, because that's, for our people, that's what the dream is. And we believe everything's alive, including the rock that we sit on. That's, any questions or comments about that? Yeah.
Okay. During that time, when you were growing up, did the mother and father have at least, I would say the siblings, did they have 4 or 5 siblings, or did they only have like 1 or 2?
Well, we tended to live in quite large groups. We call it clan, and that might be 60 to sometimes even up to 100 people at different times of the year. However, this is where you've got a really good resources, but there's plenty of places in Australia where the resources aren't so good, and so we will break up into smaller groups, like just your actual family group, for certain times of the year. You know, maybe in winter time where there's not much food around, and a big group can't really successfully be together. But whenever possible, we always get together, and once again when we have the seasonal abundance of food, it's invites go out and all the clans come in, and we might have up to 5,000 people in the one area doing all that connection that I talked about. And it's the Sky Father's law. Any other questions or comments? Yeah.
So you said, remind me of the third force. I know the sun, father, earth, mother, and then what was the third one?
The third one is creation. That's the creation rainbow serpent. It's both male and female.
And you said the purpose. I'm assuming you share these beliefs. You believe.
Oh yeah,
all of this.
I believe all this.
The purpose, would you say, of life is to protect the other life, or what do you say the purpose is?
The purpose of life is to become abundant and diversified, and to become more alive. That's the purpose of life.
What do you think? Obviously, you believe in evil because you have evil spirits, but where do you think evil comes from?
Evil is a part of life, and it really just comes from poor lifestyle choices. It comes from anti-life, going against life. So you sitting in a chair, that's anti-life. For you not connecting to the earth mother is anti-life. You not getting enough sun every day is anti-life. That can make you become evil, because you get angry, you know, and then you start blaming others for your own problems, or you become anxious and agitated, or you get lazy and you want to steal rather than work hard. All these things come from just poor ways of living. Only 3% of all the human problem is genetic. So 3% of evil can come from genetics. Yeah, it's not much. The rest is just poor lifestyle choices.
And does, when you die, whatever you turn into, that you said there's no hierarchy, and so whatever you do in your life before that doesn't determine what happens to you in the next life. You can live any way you want.
Yeah. Yeah, the thing about doing the right thing, and one of the main things is connecting with the dreaming, which I haven't even mentioned, have I? So the main way we're connected to the dreaming is just through nurturing a state of feel, right? So the main thing that disconnects you from the dreaming is thinking about anything. So we were dream timers in that we during the course of our day, we were in nurturing a state of feel. You know, when you're walking barefoot, you can't help but feel the ground. When you've got no clothes, you can't help but feel the warm sun or the wind, you know? So you're always nurturing a state of feel. When you don't have complicated life, you don't have to think about lots of things. So once again, it all comes back to being a dream timer, and when you are, it stops all these problems from happening, these bad lifestyle choices, because you can see that, I ate that and it didn't do me any good, or I can feel that this is getting uncomfortable sitting in this chair, so I've got to stop that. I've got to sit in a way that I can actually stay comfortable, otherwise it's doing its damage. But when you're lost in thought, you're in a type of sleep, and your sensory perception is very, very reduced. So you're not really awake. You're like a zombie, and you're very stuck in your ways. Whereas a dream timer, a person who's more with their senses most of the time, are forever changing from the day they're born to the day they die, and they don't mind that change because they're used to it. And they love it. It makes life interesting. And they're strong enough to cope with change, and they can do all that. So that is one of the main things which I forgot to mention earlier, is nurturing that state of feel. There's many ways you can do it. It's just a way of meditation. So look up and find what's the best way for you to meditate and start getting into it. Now, for us, it wasn't something that we did once a day or once a week.